Salt Radio, we are the best of all. Salt Radio, we are the best radio. Best in entertainment, news and reports, educational program, current affairs. We are the best radio. Salt Radio, perfect everywhere.
Oh, way, 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 today na match day.
Keeper going here, and Salah across goal, looking for Firmino. It's come for Werner. He's got Alonso outside him. Alisson pulls the hands away and watches it wide of the post. And then they set off straight away. Henderson, but oh my, Christensen on Sadio Mane. Well, here comes the card, and he goes for the red, and Chelsea are down to 10 men. Firmino. Salah, lovely little wall pass. Cross to Mane! Brilliant from Liverpool. Super from Sadio Mane. Liverpool get another now. And Chelsea will be very scared. Oh my word, what's Kepa doing? It's horrible from the Chelsea goalkeeper. And the shot is from distance and it won't come down.
Time after, you know the rules of the game. Exactly 9 o'clock a.m. You know the rules of the game. Either you win or you lose, or you either make the draw. Chelsea did not make the win, or did not make the draw yesterday. They either lose to the reigning champion Liverpool.
Let go, make a move.
Also on Saturday, Manchester United also lost their game. Their first matches to Crystal Palace to 3-1. And the good depart for Donny van der Beek, their current midfielder right now.
Who them be?
Okay, where are you listening to us live? Or you are watching us live on Facebook, on our YouTube page, Salt Radio in Ibadan. Don't get it twisted when you hear this one. Thanks to my producer, Ololade Adebisi, Zainab Adepo, Aisha Tainde. Okay, thanks to Crown Ultimate Baby. As you can watch me live, I'm with Liverpool Chelsea. That's the work of Crown Media. Oh, sorry. Crown Ultimate Baby. He ordered 3 Chelsea on Saturday as he gave me Chelsea jersey, Liverpool jersey, and Barcelona jersey. Okay, let's go this morning. Sports captain is right with me to give you the analysis. Okay, from Manchester United down to Chelsea, up Arsenal. Good morning, Captain.
Yeah, good morning, Kenny. It's really nice to be here to talk sport this wonderful Monday morning. And of course, there were a flurry of goals in the English Premier League and of course in the German Bundesliga yesterday. And of course, on Sunday, of course, the Italian Serie A also kick-started. Cristiano Ronaldo starting the season on a bank. Of course, he had a goal in that game against Sampdoria where Leonardo Bonucci also was on the score sheet. Kulusevski, who was on the verge of being sold out, also had a goal in that game. He actually had the first goal. And of course, we saw Leeds United with the goals again. That they are really here to actually battle it out, and of course they can score goals. 4-3 against Liverpool, 4-3 on Saturday. That's 7 goals. You know, they have conceded 7, and they have scored 7. It shows a long way. They actually need to work on their defense, and of course they are sure. Rest assured that up front they can actually score the goals. And of course, Chelsea slipped to a 0-2 loss to the reigning champions Liverpool. Of course, courtesy of 2 goals from Sadio Mane. Chelsea fans will say.
And Tottenham too.
Tottenham Hotspurs actually upped their game after they lost the first game against Everton. Of course, we saw them score 5 goals, but yet their defensive frailties was on display. They conceded 2 unneeded goals. But then we have to draw the positives from the game. They have actually showed the penchant to actually go forward and score goals. But then if they can actually shock their leaky defense, then we expect them to actually go a long way this season. But of course, when you look at other teams in the Leicester City, also, they showed that they actually, starting from where they stopped last season,
Yes.
2 games on the road. They have won 2 games on the road now. They have scored goals, 3 goals in their first game, and definitely yesterday they scored 4 and conceded just 2. Automatically, they have scored 7 goals and conceded 2 goals.
Also, Madrid
So it's a good defensive. Yeah, Real Madrid got their league season started to a 0-0 draw against Real Sociedad. Well, this is still the beginning, and of course, I think match rustiness played its pass for Real Madrid, but then we still have about 37 more games for them to play, and of course, they still have a very good chance, a bright chance of clinching the La Liga for the 2nd season in a row. So all this drawn together, there's plenty to talk about in the world of sports. Good morning, and thank you for tuning in.
Let me give you the roundup of the game that went on during the weekend. Real Madrid began their La Liga title defense with a scoreless draw against Real Sociedad on Sunday night at the Real Arena. Madrid had won 10 of their last 11 games, league matches last season, to clinch their first title in 3 years, and will be trying to lift back-to-back league trophy for the first time since 2007-2008. Madrid opened their weekend because it is a round match against Getafe was postponed as it played later into the last season after reaching the round of 16 of the Champions League. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, which made it to their Champions League quarterfinals, had their first 2 games postponed and won't start until next weekend in their round. In their third round, in the of Sevilla, who won the Europa League. In the other matches, Malo Pellegrini continued to impress in his coaching return to Spanish League, leading Real Betis 2-0 over Real Valladolid for the 2nd straight victory to the start of the season. Betis are open with a league win, with a late win over Alaves in their Chilean coach official debut with Real Betis last week. Nabil Vakil opened the scoring by converting a penalty kick into the 10th minute, and William Carvalho still a victim in the 80th minute. Also in France, Paris Saint-Germain returned their back to winning ways after losing their first 2 games with 3-0 over Nice. Mbappe gave the French giant the lead in 38 minutes for the penalty spot, with Angel Di Maria and new captain Marquinhos coming up with another goal. In Italy, it was a winning start for the manager, Andrea Pirlo as Juventus ran steady on winning over Claudio Ranieri Sampdoria. Cristiano Don Santos Aveiro Ronaldo was once again in the score sheet with his goal 2 minutes from time added to his scoreline earlier by Okay, right in Premier League yesterday, let me give the 5 talking points from Chelsea versus Liverpool game. It was an evening for Chelsea, who would have laid down their claims as challenger in the race for English Premier League title, but in the end, it was a disappointing night. Deadlock seemed to be in Liverpool corner, but they played their part. After the final whistle, they roll on the first win against Rome against the Blues. The match was evenly balanced in the opening as both sides were limited to a handful of the clear chances before erupting in the second half, partly due to their numeric advantage.
Heavy drums today.
Captain, let's look at Chelsea game before we move on to Manchester United games yesterday. If I could see it, give me 5 talking points that happened to Chelsea against Liverpool yesterday.
Well, I think Frank Lampard, seeing that Liverpool they are a side that likes to keep the ball, decided to play an extra man in midfield, and of course he had to put Timo Werner and Mason Mount up front. But definitely Kai Havertz was meant to be the extra man in midfield, and then it worked out for him to some extent. But then after the red card, he had to revert to his normal formation. But then they are a man short, and Liverpool had the better chance of bringing Thiago on board, and he actually pulled the strings. He had 75 complete passes in 45 minutes. Of course, that's a wonderful record for Thiago. It has not happened in a lot of years. And of course, when you look at Chelsea, you could see that Timo Werner, after losing that clear-cut chance, which he actually blew sideways, then he had to pay for that. He did extra job. Out of nothing, he created a penalty for Giorgio, but then, as luck would have it,
For the first time.
Yeah, he lost that penalty for the first time. But then, when you look at how Chelsea played, how they set up for that very match, you could realize we still have, Chelsea as a team still have a lot of players who are still out of the team. The commanding presence of Thiago Silva would have been felt by the Liverpool strikers on the field of play. But then Hakim Ziyech would have been a menace to Robertson on that Chelsea right, which is Liverpool's left. And then when you look at the impact a striker would have had on that game, had it been Chelsea started with a striker, we wouldn't have someone like Van Dijk playing in midfield for Liverpool.
And even I saw Fabinho playing at the centre back yesterday.
Yeah, it was a make. Of course, he has been doing that since he was at Monaco. He is a versatile midfielder who can actually play as a right back and of course as a centre back. And then his best role, where he loves to play most, is in defense. But then he has the quality to play as a central midfielder, and he has been deployed in that role as a defensive midfielder by Jurgen Klopp. They were both out injured, and then he had to come in and as a makeshift central defender for Liverpool. But then he had a wonderful performance, except for the troubles that was caused for them by Timo Werner, who was everywhere in the front three. He played virtually everywhere in Chelsea's attack. But then luck ran out for Chelsea when the red card actually, if Chelsea were 11-11 on the field of play, then a striker was brought on board, the game would still have been a little bit clearer for Chelsea to actually go for the goals. They had good chances in the first half. They failed to bury them. Then the red card came at the death of the first half, and then when the second half came on board, Jurgen Klopp, being a tactical person, a football magician, he knew what to do to actually render Chelsea useless on the field of play, and he brought on board Thiago, who was a maestro, a midfield maestro. He distributed the passes, both the long and the short ones, and he was virtually in control of everything that happened on the field of play in the second half. So Jurgen Klopp, for me, he had a master stroke, and of course he was able to use that to the best ability of by bringing on board Thiago. Even if Chelsea had been 11-11 in the second half, he would still have brought on board Thiago, and then the same thing would still have happened, because he is a kind of person that believes when he has the ball, he gives it to the nearest man, then he receives it back, then gives it to the nearest man until the ball gets into the opposition penalty area. And that was what exactly happened. He played the ball until Mane had the opportunity to wear the ball into the net. And of course, when you look at the second goal, he was instrumental, because he was on that flank where Mane actually got the ball. But then Kepa did his own magic yesterday. That has been the hallmark of his game. Sometimes for me, I think Kepa does not deserve to be a Chelsea player.
He is lacking confidence right now.
This is no longer the issue of confidence. If he was short of confidence, yes, we agreed. We can say last season he was short of confidence.
But
this is another season entirely. What he did is on this left. Yes. He could have given the ball to Zuma or Alonso, but he chose to give the ball to a certain
is that not Tomori?
It wasn't Tomori. I think it was Mateo Kovacic who was coming to get the ball from him. But then he saw the movement of Sadio Mane. He knew Sadio Mane is a very fast player, and he could have gotten to him before he even had the chance to pass the ball. And then he did the same thing. For me, he keeps playing like he has been programmed to do so. And that, for me, is unacceptable as a Chelsea player.
Okay, quickly, let's move to Manchester United against Crystal Palace.
Well, Kenny, for me, people still believe Manchester United had a bad game against Crystal Palace. Yes, they did, by their standard. But for me, I think one thing played a very big role in the result, and that is the fact that match rustiness was there for Manchester United, and Crystal Palace already played a game in the English Premier League. They have tested the intensity, and they were ready to do anything. Don't forget, Crystal Palace.
On Saturday, people were complaining about the bloating of Donny van der Beek. And then people are saying that this manager doesn't know what he wants right now. Because, firstly, you need attackers, you need striker, you need defender, and you are bringing in another midfielder.
Well, for me, I think at Manchester United, it is not totally up to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to decide who comes into the team and who doesn't. We have always known that during the era of David Moyes, Ed Woodward was in charge of transfers, and he actually got the players he thought was good enough to play at Manchester United for David Moyes. But he was, he didn't actually look for players who David Moyes actually wanted at Manchester United. The only player David Moyes wanted at Manchester United that was bought for him was Marouane Fellaini at that point in time. So the same thing is still happening at Manchester United. I believe they are trying to protect the interest of Harry Maguire, who was brought on board for over 80 million. And if you say you have bought a player for over 80 million and he's not good enough, he keeps sitting on the bench, then a question is to be asked by the board. They will actually ask the coach, why are you putting an 80 million player on the bench? It happened to Mourinho at Chelsea when he thought Andriy Shevchenko, a 50 million player, wasn't good enough for his starting 11. But then eventually he found a way to put Shevchenko on the field of play because the owner of the team was asking, I bought this player for 50 million. Why are you not putting him on the field of play? Then he had to deploy Shevchenko on the right wing. And we all know Shevchenko was a goal poacher and would not be able to play on that particular wing. But Solomon Kalou had to be sacrificed. He had to put Solomon Kalou on the bench. So for me at Manchester United, I think right now, Pogba will have to be deployed as a defensive midfielder. Donny van de Beek will be on the field of play, and Bruno Fernandes will also be on the field of play, because eventually, who is going to be on the bench? And Van de Beek was brought on board to be a player who will be in the first 11 for Manchester United. Fred has been sacrificed already for Bruno Fernandes. Yeah. He has been sacrificed and he remains on the bench. For the first 6 months of last season, Fred happens to be the best player for Manchester United. From my own point of view, I stand to be corrected. He was everywhere in the midfield. He was a marker. He was a creative midfielder. But then, when Bruno came on board, he immediately hit the ground running, and the coach thought the only person that he could sacrifice at that point in time is Fred. And he actually dropped Fred on the field of play. Then the resurgence of a certain Nemanja Matic towards the tail end of the season actually sealed that particular spot for Bruno Fernandes in the team, and then Fred had to settle for a place on the bench.
For Manchester United couldn't determine they are not the real contender right now.
Yeah, for me, I don't think we should totally rule out Manchester United.
Two matches for all the teams in England. Yeah, I can't say this.
Sometimes it is even better for you to lose your first game or draw your first game. Then you begin to understand where and where. For me, you will still see Manchester.
According to the report, the Madrid-based Spanish team, Atletico could have started negotiation with Arsenal over a loaning Lucas Torreira for 1 season. Arsenal hope to land Ozen Aouar or Atletico no Thomas Partey. Interestingly, the report stated that the discussion between Arsenal and the legal side do not concern the Ghanaian F1 side. Only Torreira is subjected to negotiation and decide in talk over a loan, not permanent transfer. So Rino are also another candidate to land midfielder with Syria side boss Marcos.
Let's go, 2 fingers in the air. Let's go, red jersey in the air.
Okay, at the end of the show, the friendly match between Arsenal in Arsenal game is over, as they will be meeting the Red Giants in Premier League.
Teamwork make the dream work.
Captain, let's look at Arsenal. There are 2 games so far. They played this game, is that not Fulham, and then their last game in West Ham. Can we decide that Arsenal now, Mikel Arteta, is the real manager for Arsenal?
I think this is no longer a question, because it has been answered already. Mikel Arteta was
their next match will be a tough match. Toughest match.
His qualification was questioned when he got the job as the boss at Arsenal. Then towards the tail end of last season, he showed everyone what he was capable of doing. He actually won a silverware for them. He has won 2 silverwares, won the FA Cup and then the Community Shield against Liverpool. I think for me, he understands how to play Liverpool right now, because last season he showed them what he was capable of doing. In the Community Shield, he showed them what he's capable of doing. And right now, there is another opportunity for him to show the whole world that he's not a fluke, and of course he understands the game of football, and as a gaffer he knows who to be on the field of play and who to be on the bench. And at Arsenal, I think the first 2 games has actually showed that they are not struggling for goals, and of course they have a balanced midfield.
And people are complaining that they are playing is as if they are friendly match, because they are playing with less teams. Now they'll be meeting
There's no pushover in the English Premier League. If there were pushovers, Liverpool will not struggle against a certain Leeds United that just got promoted into the English Premier League. When you look at all these teams, so every season a big team falls into the hand of a small team, and in that case, it does not happen so frequently in other leagues. But in English Premier League, there are always upsets, and they always claim the scalp of big teams. And of course, when you look at Arsenal, you begin to underrate them because they have not actually played a big team. But the teams that have actually played a big team, how have they fared in those games? Arsenal stand a chance of actually defeating Liverpool. For me, if I am talking as a punter, I actually believe Arsenal will defeat Liverpool because a Chelsea team that was red carded, Liverpool struggled against them. Talk more of an Arsenal team that is organized in defense. They don't have too many big names in defense, but they are actually organized. They are compact. They don't concede too many goals. And look at what actually happened in their first game. They scored three unreplied goals. In their next game against West Ham United, don't forget that was a derby. It was a London derby, and you don't expect a London derby to be short of the drama you saw in that game. They conceded against West Ham, and they discovered they had to win. They brought in Edin Ketia, and they got the goal for them. 2-1, and that was 6 points in 2 games. That's not a bad record for a team that actually contending to be in the top 4 or actually win the English Premier League. But one thing I want you to understand is if Arsenal can actually secure the signing of Thomas Partey, I think they are Premier League contenders because he is going to be.
That's what they need right now.
Yeah, he's going to be an enforcer in midfield, and before you get past Partey, then you must have known the kind of pressure or the kind of job you must have done. So for me, I think Arsenal, they actually contenders for the top 4 right now. But if they can get a reasonable, or let me say a midfield enforcer in someone like Thomas Partey, then I think they are going to be Premier League contenders. For me, that's my opinion. Anyway, I stand to be corrected.
La Liga giants FC Barcelona have lined up replacement for defender Nelson Semedo, who is said to be on his way to the Wolves. Semedo is being considered a surplus to requirements at Barcelona, and as on Sunday, Wolves is said to have made a bid for the player with the club keen to replace Matt Doherty, whom Tottenham Hotspur in the transfer. It has been reported that Ronald Koeman could move for the Ajax defender Sergio Dest or the Betis Emerson should Semedo leave the club for the Premier League. According to the news, international debt, who is said to be attracting interest from Bayern Munich too, could be available for around 20 million euros if Barcelona can fight off interest for the Bayern Munich. Barcelona have made 600 million purchase option for the Brazilian international manager as part of the co-ownership agreement with the Real Betis, with another option for the co-owner being on the Norway City Max Arrows, with the Champions League open for the option in the region of 25 million euros. Semedo and the new man, this young boy, Dest. If you look at Semedo last season for Barcelona, he played well for Barcelona last season. And right now, Barcelona are looking forward to sell this player and bring another player. Will that be a good choice for Barcelona in their defense line? As you look at Nelson Semedo, I love the playing style he plays.
I want Nelson Semedo at FC Barcelona come next season, and he's not short of suitors. There are teams that are actually hunting for a signature, especially Wolverhampton Wanderers, who I call Portugal Wanderers right now because they have about 9 to 10 players from Portugal in their rank. And when you look at this kind of situation, Semedo should actually be retained by FC Barcelona because he's not the kind of player that complains if he's on the pitch or field of play or if he's on the bench. He has not complained, but then they said they don't want him at FC Barcelona come next season. But don't forget, Barcelona are actually doing this knowing that they have a replacement at hand. If they can actually get secure the signing of another right back on time for the new season, that will be fine. But then they cannot sell players when there is no replacement. There is a prerequisite, there is a requirement for the number of players that you can actually register for a season. And they can probably go into their La Masia, their academy, and bring out players who can actually play in that position. But I don't think Semedo is that bad that he deserves to be pushed out of FC Barcelona, especially at this point when they actually need every player they can actually find for the new season. Real Madrid started on a sad note. They had a draw, but then Barcelona can actually better that by winning their next game. But if you are telling all your players to go to find a team who and who will be in that team come next season. I think it's a question that begs to be asked from Ronald Koeman and the board, Joseph Madabatomi, who is in charge of FC Barcelona. What are they doing? We don't understand them anymore. They want to send every player away, but how many players have they signed as replacements? We have not seen too much. But then let's see what happens. We still have about 2 weeks to the end of the transfer market, and then we'll see what happens during the week.
The new season will kick off very soon, and Barca should hurry on the transfer market to get properly prepared for the new campaign. Nessie Semedo departure could open door for Eric Garcia, Sergio Dest, or even Memphis Depay, and it's quite possible that at least one of these moves will secure until the end of this week. Suarez movement of the Juventus has backtracked on signing Luis Suarez, so the Uruguayan future is once again up in the air. However, this week have been indeed be decisive. Ronald Koeman could lie to know who is going to be number 9 for the upcoming campaign, and if Barca sign no player for this position, let go. In the vote of no confidence development, the 20K signatures which were collected a few days ago are yet to undergo the second verification process, as Sunday is the deadline. Yesterday, the story was heated up by a rumor saying that the club wouldn't accept about 5,000 signatures since they believe this were fake. In the La Liga opener, Barcelona will be the last team to launch their La Liga campaign on Sunday, September 27th, as the Catalan will take on Villarreal at the home in the Ronald Koeman first official game in the champ.